Draft nerds, Carolina Panthers fans, welcome in. We are getting into our 7-round Carolina Panthers mock draft for the 2025 NFL Draft. I'll tell y'all what, we're going to get into the mock draft, but we've got to talk about the team's situation heading into the draft, heading into the offseason, free agency, all that good stuff. But I am so excited for Bryce Young. This was a quarterback prospect who I was extremely high on. I didn't have a grade on him like a Caleb Williams or a Drake May, certainly. But I just loved Bryce Young's headiness, his pocket movement, his ability to throw on the run, his accuracy with the football. I thought that Bryce Young, despite his size, was a legitimate first-round pick at quarterback. And what a rough start it was for him. But these last 5 or so games, Bryce Young has been playing darn good football. He looks like the quarterback of the present and the future for the Carolina Panthers. And I'm just really excited for him and for them for, whatever the situations were, getting benched, then having a situation out of the team's control where he has to get back on the field. He took it in stride and he handled it extremely well. And the mental toughness was part of the evaluation for him. So excited for him, how he's playing, and for Panthers fans as well. You look at the offseason, $33 million in cap space. Not a ton, but I think you extend J.C. Horn, cut that cap hit down a little bit, and I think you keep a lot of guys around in this building to build this thing out, and you improve through the draft mostly. Now, I think there are a couple spots you could attack in free agency, a couple spots you should attack in free agency. I think this is a decent wide receiver class. It's not like a great wide receiver class. It's still good. It's just as compared to like last year and maybe the year before, not elite, right? But I think in free agency, depending on how things play out, and things will change between now and then, but there's some guys out there you could sign that I think would be quality starters for Bryce Young to continue. And you tried to do that with Deontay, and you've tried everything. Adam Thielen is up there in age. You obviously drafted Leggett, traded away your second-round pick from Ole Miss a couple years ago for a fourth-round pick. I actually think that was pretty good value, getting that back from the Cowboys. Look, maybe you sign like an Amari Cooper. T. Higgins would be obviously the big fish. Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins. And you say, how are you going to sign one of these guys or a couple guys, different players at different positions, will own $33 million cap space? The year one cap hit is not going to be it's going to be probably like 40% of the actual average annual value. So you can afford to sign a couple of starters. And I think you should get guys specifically I think you should get a starting receiver for Bryce Young again. Because yes, it'll be nice to add somebody in the draft in that regard, maybe a couple guys in the draft, but you need somebody who is a pro that can help this young quarterback out. And I don't think there's any reason to view this team as a team that can't compete in 2025 to try to win their division and make the playoffs if you do things right here. I really feel that way. So go get one of those receivers we talked about. Maybe you also address cornerback with like a DJ Reed or Charvarius Ward, depending on your play style, how you want to deploy them. Obviously, Ojero Evero probably still there. I don't think he's going to be a head coach this next year. Paulson Adebo maybe stealing from within the division. So there's some options at cornerback to improve opposite J.C. Horn. And then in the draft, we're trying to go BPA while also addressing needs, which probably shouldn't be super hard with this roster because there are areas of improvement we can have. We have a ton of draft capital, the 4th overall pick, 10 overall selections in this draft. Probably going to be good with trading up a bit at times, depending on where we're at. We have 2 4th-round picks, 3 5th-round picks. I'm looking at edge, interior defensive line, and of course, you do have Derek Brown, right? But interior defensive line to go along with Derek Brown. Cornerback for the long term. I do think Chow Smith-Wade is a good candidate to fill the nickel role for a long time. A young wide receiver. Running back is interesting. Obviously, we signed Hubbard, but the Jonathan Brooks injury situation is unsettling. Linebacker could be upgraded. Safety could be upgraded. But for me, I think the offensive line is in a really good place. I think it's very strong. improving the defensive front is going to be paramount for me. I think if you win the trenches in this league, that'll take you far. So that's what one of our main focuses is going to be. We're going to go ahead and get into this darn thing after 5 minutes of me just yammering on about this football team. Let's go ahead and select Carolina Panthers. We're doing this over at NFL Mock Draft Database. I'm going to share my screen with y'all here in just a second. All right, Carolina Panthers on the clock at 4 overall. I think it's going to be 2 quarterbacks and then Travis Hunter, if I had to predict things here. So predictively, yes, you see Travis Hunter on the board. I'm predicting the Patriots would take Travis Hunter. Who knows how it'll actually play out, but that's my prediction. And look, if Travis Hunter's on the board here, I do have a hard time not taking him because you need corner long term. You need receiver as well. Obviously, we address those needs in free agency, but long term, you just don't pass on a Travis Hunter, in my opinion. Great prospect, unique prospect. But in this situation, again, Travis Hunter's off the board, so Tet McMillan is on the board. I got to go Abdul Carter. I think he's maybe the freakiest prospect in this class, honestly. And I think that his explosiveness off the ball, his violence, he has strong hands, he has powerful hands, he has developed those hands, his bend and fluidity. He's a menace, and I think he's going to be, and obviously everybody compares him to Micah Parsons. I think it's fair. I think he's going to be an absolute freak show in the NFL for a very, very long time. Blue chip prospect for me. That's where I would go. Edge is a big need. You're now adding Abdul Carter to play alongside Derek Brown. I think you go get one more interior defensive lineman, and you can start to really feel good about that defensive front. And so I don't think we necessarily need to trade up from 50. I think there's going to be good options for us here with where we want to go. Looking at interior defensive line. I think Alfred Collins here would be an excellent pairing with Derek Brown. Omar Norman Lott is incredibly explosive off the ball at 315 pounds. Yeah, let's go Alfred Collins, though, because I think his stoutness against the run and his length and his physicality, and I do think he has straight line explosiveness. I don't think we've seen the best out of Alfred Collins as a pass rusher yet, and I do think that he's going to be super stout against the run. So you're going to be able to shut down the run with Collins and Brown and Clowney, and Carter can be an impact run defender as well. It's not like he's one of these small edge rushers. He's over 250 pounds, and he is incredibly explosive and strong. I think you stop the run, and then you get juiced up against the pass as well with these first 2 picks. And now that we have secured our trenches, we can kind of take a look around. I think at 72, there's going to be quality candidates for us to add at a lot of different spots. Let's see here. Linebacker might be something we need to roll the dice on in free agency a little bit. Or just, I don't think that the Panthers are awful at linebacker by any stretch. You could go get a developmental tackle. Taylor Moton is not getting any younger. It's not the biggest need, certainly, but I think if you were looking at Emory Jones as a developmental guy, I think that could be exciting. Armand Membu, that would be exciting. I think those two would be great values at this point in the draft. Kevin Winston, Kamari Ramsey could be great values at this point in the draft. Jared Ivey as well. Braden Swinson has come on. Josiah Stewart has been a menace. Q Robinson has a lot of talent out of Alabama. I think Tez Johnson with Bryce Young could be fireworks. And I know Tez Johnson's small, and that's why we're drafting him in the 3rd round here and not the 2nd round. But Tez Johnson His he's basically unguardable, unless you're able to get hands on him at the line of scrimmage early. And playing slot, Dave Canales dialing things up, I think that would be perfect. Perfect long term fit with Bryce Young there. So this is one of the spots where I think we could potentially look to trade up, but it has to be for somebody who obviously makes sense for what we want to do. I think Azareye'h Thomas is a screaming value here at corner to add long term. Mason Taylor and Gunnar Helm are great values. I know Jatavion Sanders is in the building, but could still add to that group. Nick Singleton at this spot would be tremendous. Again, I know Jonathan Brooks will come back eventually, but the double injuries back-to-back years is scary. I know we've got Chuba Hubbard, but you need more than one. I love Jaden Higgins long-term as well. Goodness gracious. Torrey Horton. Who would I just feel like there's no chance that they fall to us at 108? Honestly, that's probably Azareye'h Thomas. Just a great value here, in my opinion. So we're going to try to trade up. Los Angeles Chargers, not in our conference, not in our division, so we can feel decent about that. All right, what do we got to give up? Okay, a fourth, obviously, at 108. Do we have to give up both fourths? I don't really want to do that. I'd be fine with giving up 2/5 for a player that, for me, looking at Azareye'h Thomas, he's number 20 on my board. So landing him here would just be an insane steal. And somebody who you can build around long term at the cornerback position. Great length, so physical at the line of scrimmage. Somebody who, looking at his skill set, I think can be a long-time NFL starter plus starter. Young player too. Kevin Winston declared for the draft, and he's coming off injury, didn't play this year, but he's a really good safety prospect who could be a value here, or certainly would be a value here, because of the injury. So that would be really interesting to me. Love running back at this spot. I think Nick Singleton is just an insane value here. I got to do it. Nick Singleton should come off the board in the second round, in my opinion. His combination of size, explosiveness, contact balance. He's a great pass blocker. He's a great receiver. Love Nick Singleton. No reason he should be available at this spot. So now we've got 139, 220, and 229. What are we going to do? We missed out on Kevin Winston, which is okay. We have addressed a lot of needs. I think getting a Q Robinson at this point to be a rotational edge could be a really good value out of Alabama. He's got length and speed. Develop him off the edge behind the guys you've already added to the team. I like that. Oh, Jaden Higgins is... Okay. I'm sorry, folks. We got to go Jaden Higgins. Look, with our current build, like I said, we added a wide receiver that's a starter. Adam Thielen's still there. But long-term, outside of Tez Johnson and Xavier Legette, there's not a whole lot at wide receiver for the Panthers. So adding a Jaden Higgins, who should be a day 2 pick easily at 6'4", 215, really good route runner, strong hands, physical, gets in and out of his breaks, and runs a legitimate route tree at Iowa State. You know, in breakers, out breakers, slants. I just think that that's too good of a pick there. Got to do it. Got to do it. All right. So now we're just looking for some value at this point, guys that can potentially make the team. If Oscar Delp came out and was there at that spot, I think that would be really fascinating. Quincy Riley would be a good developmental corner to take. Very aggressive. Jalen Catalon was, some people thought he was going to be a first round pick a few years ago. Yeah, let's go. There's always depth at receiver. There is. Jalen Noel would be a good pick. Daniel Jackson would be a good pick, but we've already added 2 receivers and signed a receiver in free agency, so I think we'll pass on that. Yeah, let's go Quincy Riley out of Louisville. And then round it out with Oscar Delp out of Georgia. Very good athlete. Very, very willing to get physical with you, but a really good athlete who I think you can develop. Fun draft there for the Carolina Panthers. I think this would represent, again, the ability to start dominating up front. You're dominating up front with your offensive line, doing a really good job there, protecting Bryce Young, creating push for Chuba Hubbard, for Nick Singleton now as well. Abdul Carter, an absolute freak show. Alfred Collins, a beastly interior defensive lineman with great length and strength, good straight line explosiveness. You've got the trenches locked down, it looks like. Tez Johnson is so difficult to cover, and I think that Dave Canales could really help unlock him at the NFL level. He's quick, he's fluid, he's got speed, he plays bigger than he is, and he's probably $160 soaking wet. But Azarie Thomas, just too good of a value to not trade up for there. 88. Again, Nick Singleton and Jaden Higgins, 2 guys, value. And Quincy Riley and Oscar Delp, I think, represent value too. So if you're a Panthers fan, let me know what you think about this one in the comment section below. Draft fans as well, just let me know what y'all think. If you enjoy the content here, please consider liking and subscribing. Y'all have a good one.